Hello everyone, this is Harlan Parrott again, coming to you with another little guitar instruction. And if you remember the last time we taught you a lesson, we told you that we would teach you about how to make many chords, as many as probably you want to ever make, with a little technique called string transference. Well, before we do that, I want to show you some basic chords that we can work from. And we've taught you the basic, how to formulate the major scale, how to tune the guitar by ear. We've taught you basic modes and what a major chord consists of. Like I said, there are many types of chords, and there's no end to probably what you can do with it. But anyway, I'm going to start off today with just the basic alphabet. We're not going to do any sharps or flats, but just a basic chord starting with A. If you will take notice, I'm going to take and put my third finger on the second string, the second fret. We'll take this middle finger and put it on the third string, the second fret. And then the first finger, the index, we will put it on the fourth string, the second fret. And we will play these notes. That's called an A major chord. And it still consists of the 1, 3, and 5 of the major scale. Okay? To make a B, just a plain B chord, what we do is our technique we showed you about adding the nut with your first finger, your index finger. We take the A chord, instead of making it this way, I hope you can see this well enough, but instead of making it this way, we make it with the last three fingers. So we have the index finger free to put a simulated nut, and we raise it 2 frets between A and B. There's 2 frets, so we raise the entire thing 2 frets to here, and we replace the nut with our first finger, and we have a B major chord. Okay, and if you remember, we could come on down to the next one, which is 1 fret between B, C. We have a C major chord, the D major chord, the E major chord, the F major chord, and on and so forth, going forward in the alphabet. Now once we got the B chord, then we do the basic C chord, which is this: the index finger on the second string, the first fret, the middle finger on the fourth string, second fret. To start back, we got the second string, the first fret with the index finger, the fourth string, second fret with the middle finger, and the fifth string, third fret with the ring finger. And that's your C major chord. Then we have the D major chord, which we take this middle finger and put it on the bottom string, the second fret. The ring finger we put on the second string, third fret, and the first finger, the index, we put on the third string, second fret, and we have a D major chord. Then we have an E by taking our index finger, putting it on the third string, the first fret, our ring finger, putting it on the fourth string, the second fret, and our middle finger on the fifth string, second fret. We have an E major chord. And following our rules, we change the fingers around for the E, and we raise it to the next letter in the alphabet, which is F. In between E and F, there's 1 fret, and we replace the nut with our first finger. Now we have an F major chord. Then the G major chord, we will stop at the G. We take the ring finger, put it on the bottom string, the 3rd fret. We put the index finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and the middle finger on the 6th string, or the top string, on the 3rd fret. And that makes up your A, B, C, D, E, F, G chords. Well, there are many chords, and we just want to show you basically a technique today called string transference. There are many types of techniques to learn chords, but this is some of, I think, probably the best and simplest ones to learn first. If you will remember the last lesson, we made the C chord. It's called a triad because it has only 3 notes. And we used the bottom string with the index finger. We took the ring finger on the 5th fret and the 2nd string, and the middle finger on the 3rd string, 5th fret, and we had the 3 notes C, E, G. And if you'll recall, just recap, the 1st, 3rd, and 5th tones of a major scale, when added together, will produce a major chord of that scale, or that key. So we have C. Now, string transference simply means you can take the strings and take the entire chord that you have made, raise each finger up 1 string higher. That doesn't mean go higher in pitch. That means go up a set of strings. So this bottom note here, which is a G, with the index finger, would be brought up to the 2nd string instead of the 1st string. This ring finger, which is on the 5th fret in the 2nd string, would be brought up to the 3rd string, 5th fret. And the one that's on the 3rd string, 5th fret, would be brought up to the 4th string. So all you're doing is going from here, raising the whole thing up 1 set of strings. And here's the rule. Whatever note you have to press that lands on the 3rd string from the bottom, which is the G string, you drop that note 1 fret. So what we have here is we have this note, we drop it 1 fret, leave the others where they are, and we only play those 3 notes. Then we raise the entire chord up in pitch 5 frets, or if we could, we would lower it 7 frets. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have the exact same chord that we started with. Now listen to the sound. Hear it? So now you have 2 different inversions of the C chord, or 2 different places to make the identical chord. And we'll go 1 step farther. We take each one of these notes, we raise it up to the next string higher, and the note that lands on the 3rd string here, we drop it 1 fret, we leave these 2 where they are, we raise it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Listen to it. We have the exact same chord that we started with. We'll do it one more time. We raise these up like this, 1 string. Now there's no note this time that lands on the 3rd string because we're not even using the 3rd string. So all we have to do is raise the entire chord up 5 frets or drop it 7 frets. Let's try raising it up 5 frets first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hear it? Same identical chord. Now let's take the chord and let's try to lower it 7 frets. there it is, 7 frets lower. But notice this right here, we don't need to mash the bottom note anymore, which is on the G string, because we've got this nut to take its place. We did have to up here when we raised it up from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we raised that up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had the same chord, and so forth. So we can either raise it 5 frets or lower it 7 frets, and we have the exact same chord. Now let's try a couple more examples and see if that works on other chords. I will tell you up front, it'll work on any chord. All right, any chord. So you can actually, we just found out here, we found 1, 2, 3, 4 different C chords. Just using that little technique called string transference. Let's try this chord here. This is a D. Let's just do this chord here. This is a E7. Now let's try to bring all these notes up 1 fret. I'm not sorry, 1 set of strings, not 1 fret yet. And there's a note here on this G string that we got to lower 1 fret. We drop it down to here. We leave these notes where they are. We raise the entire chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we play the same notes again. Listen. Same exact chord. Let's try it again, see if it'll work again. We take these notes, we raise them up, and lo and behold, now the pinky or the little finger lands on the 3rd string. We drop it down 1 fret now to here, from here to here. See that? And now we have this chord. Then we raise that entire chord up 5 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got this. Listen. You hear that? Same chord. Now let's take it and let's raise it up one more time, and we'll do this. We raise these up to here, and there's a note that lands. Watch it. The note that lands on the 3rd string, we drop it a fret. So we got this. Now watch this. We raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hear that? So we have 4 different inversions of that same chord. Let's come up here and do this again. We do this. We got to maneuver our fingers around a little bit when we do this because of the fact that we got to lower the note that's on the 3rd string. So we drop that. Now we can take that same chord and lower it 7 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we got that same chord again in another inversion. Okay, let's see if we can do that again. We'll take just another chord. We'll take a C minor 7. You don't know all these chords yet, but you will see them in chord books. But I want to show you a principle. If you find a chord in the chord book and you want to learn another inversion, you don't have to go searching all over the chord book to find it. All you got to do is follow these basic techniques. So we raise the whole thing up a set of strings. There we go. Look at that. And there's a note that lands on the 3rd string. And it's that one. So we drop it 1 fret. We leave these where they were. We raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same identical chord. I try it again and see if this works. Now watch. We're going to raise the whole thing up a set of strings. And now the pinky's on the 3rd string. We drop it down 1 fret. We raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you hear it? See, it doesn't matter what chord you use. You can use a D. You raise it up a set of strings. Note lands on the 3rd string is here. We drop it, raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the same D chord. And so it doesn't matter. That's my point. Now you can do it another way by taking, say for example, a C chord. I'll use this one with a major 3rd and a bass. Okay? But if we want to drop it a set of strings, This is going to be just the opposite. But we're going to change the chordal structure around. We drop it a set of strings, down one set. See that? See it come down? And the note that lands on the B string now, you raise it a fret. Okay? On the B string, that's the second string from the bottom. We take it first off the regular C, we drop it, we raise the note that's on this B string up a fret, and this time if we go up, we got to go up 7 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here we have it. See, we go up 7 frets this time, or down 5 frets. It was just the opposite of what we had a while ago. But you can watch this tape over and over and see the principles. We do this, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have the same chord. Isn't that nice? And we could try, like, for example, an A minor ninth. Okay, if we drop that down a set of strings, we have this. Okay, we've only got, in order to have a minor ninth, though, that you got to have 4 strings, because the minor is 1, 3, 5, and 9 for the 1, 3 flat, 5 and 9 to get the minor ninth. So let's try this here. We'll do this minor ninth chord here. There it is. Okay, and if we raise it up a set, we can do it like this by dropping that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it's the same identical chord. Now if we want to go down, we still got 4 strings, so we should be able to accomplish this. We go down. This one will come completely off because it's not there anymore. This one will come here, and there's a note that will land on the 3rd string. Okay. Then we go up 7 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we add the C note, we got a C minor 7. We don't have the 9th note in it. That's the problem. It's according to this, because see 1, 3, 9, 7. We didn't have the 5th in there, so we're going to have to substitute the 5th. So we do this again, and we raise it. When we lower it a set of strings, and this comes completely off. This one comes here. And we actually can make it like this. This is a minor ninth chord. It's actually a minor ninth chord, and we take it down. We can come up here, and if we make it like this, we come up 7 frets. I can do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and do this. And we'd have to add the 9th note on here to make it have the nice sound. But it's the same chord, and the principle still works. Okay, so you got that principle basically under your belt. And let's try another one here too. Let's try this C major 7 right here. We're just going to use these notes, which is here on this particular string, is on the E string on the 8th fret, and then we have the pinky on the A string, 10th fret, then the index finger, the middle finger on the D string, 9th fret, and then the ring finger on the 3rd string or G string on the 9th fret. So we got this. That's a C major 7. Now if we drop that down a complete set of strings, okay, and we raise the note that's on that string, the 2nd string, up a fret, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or raise it up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we got the same chord again. All these chords are different. They all look different, but they are still what we say they are. There's an A minor 7. As long as you have the 1, 3 flat, 5, and 7 flat, you've got a minor 7 chord. If we take that, and we're going to have another note in there in order to make it to where we can get the whole chord, because it takes a certain amount of notes to make some of these longer chords. I just want you to, and we run out of strings when we only have like 4-string chords, and they're consisting of chords like a minor ninth or major ninth or something like that. If we go down a set of strings, we don't have enough notes and actually to make the complete chord. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's try this A minor chord here. All right, we go down a set of strings. That's all we did. We just dropped each one down a set, and then the note that landed on the second string, we raised a fret. We raised the whole chord 7 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have the same chord, and we drop it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the same chord. So I hope you can see the principle in actually changing, or string transference is what it's called, where you can actually take a chord, like for example, this is an E ninth chord. E ninth chord. Okay, now first off, let's try the first method. If I raise the whole thing a set of strings, okay, this is right here. If I raise the whole thing a set of strings, I'd come up here, and the actual note that landed on the third string, I would drop it, raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got an E ninth chord again. Hear it? If I did it again, if I raised the whole thing up a set of strings, and the note that landed on the third string, I would drop it a fret. I raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would still have the E ninth chord. Now let's take it and go the opposite direction. If I drop the whole thing down a set of strings, the note that lands on the second string here, I raise it up a fret. I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hear that? I gotta actually hear that? Isn't that nice? That's actually what we just did when we did that, is we actually made an A9 chord, or a minor 6th chord. All right, let's try this one more time. We'll raise it up a set, and whatever comes on the third string, we drop it a fret. Then we bring it up again. We got those 3. Okay, I'm just making a mistake with my noting. It's all. It's fine. Then we take it, and that's as far as we can go with that. So if we take it and go down, we'll try our other technique. We go down, and we raise that note on the second string up a fret, and we come up 7 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We still got that E9 chord. Isn't that pretty? So it's another inversion. It doesn't matter what chord you use, which one of these methods you use in the string transference, you still come up with making an inversion of the chord. Now for example, let's try this this D9 chord here and see if it works. We come up a set of strings. That's what it sounds like before we lower that note on the third string, but then we take it and we drop it. We're going to do this method first. Raise it up, drop what's on the G string 1 fret, raise it up 5 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got that D9 chord again. Hear it? Now let's try it again. Let's raise all of them up, a whole set of strings. And the note that lands right here on this third string, we drop it a fret. So I'm just going to match 2 of them with my middle finger there. I'm going to raise it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's that D ninth chord again. Hear that? Isn't that nice? Any of these chords work. Now let's try this again. Let's try this. This is going to be maybe a little different. we're going to go down a set of strings now. Here's a D ninth. Go down a set, and the note that lands on the second string, we raise a fret. We have this, and we drop it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we can raise it 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hear that? All these chords work, and I want you to get that in your mind. We're just going to do the basic chords on this next example. If you recall earlier, we talked about the C major scale. The C major scale is just C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's the C major scale, and the next C would come back to the octave, or the 8, or the 1, back to the root. So we had these three notes. Another way to make an inversion of a chord is you take each note you have and raise it to the next note in the scale. Here's the 1, 3, 5 of the C major scale. So we know that's C, E, G, as we've said over and over. Now if we bring the C up to the next note in the chord, we would have to have an E. So we'd bring it up to here. C, D, E. So we'd have that note. Then we bring the E up to the next note in the chord itself. It's not the next note in the scale. It's the next note in the chord that you're making. So there's E, F, G. So we got these two. Then the G would have to come up to a C. G, A, B, C. Now we take these. We got the same identical chord, but it's a different inversion now because the 1, 3, 5 is switched around. Now let's try it again. Now we got the 3 here. So the next note in the chord is going to be the 5. We only have 1, 3, 5. So if it's a 3, it can only go up to a 5 or go down. And we're going to go up now. 3, 4, which is F, 5, which is G. And the G has to go to a C. It can't go to an A or a B because they're not part of the C chord. So we G, A, B, C. Now we have these two notes. Then the C would have to come up to an E. It couldn't come up to a D because that D is not a part of the C chord. So all it is C, E, and G, or 1, 3, 5 of that scale. So we take C, D, E. Now we've got three notes. So now we got this, and that. See, they're different inversions of the same chord. And if we did it again, we'd come back where we started. Okay, now let's try another one. It can get pretty complicated as far as actually doing because it takes a lot of time and practice to get all this stuff down. But let's try this ninth chord here. This is a G ninth. Okay, first off, we're going to have, in order to have a ninth, we have to have a 1, 3, 5, 7 flat, and 9. But we can actually eliminate the root, or we can eliminate the fifth. All right, so we got a root, 3, 7, and 9. We don't have a 5 here, so we may eliminate that. But let's take the ninth. What would be the next note in the scale, or in the chord rather, of the ninth chord? It's going to have to be, since we don't have a root, I guess we could use a root and see if it'll work. There'll be A, B, C. So let's try that, see if it'll work. Now it's not. This is a G chord. I'm sorry. So if it's an A and it's a 9, B. We'll try the B, which is a part of the G chord. Try that. And then take the 7, raise it up to a root. We got those two. The third, fourth, fifth. There's that. The root. We could raise the root up to a 9. Okay, we got the 9, but we don't have the 7, so we couldn't actually do what we needed to do there. So instead of raising the third up to a fifth, we need to raise it up to a dominant 7 in order to get the ninth chord. So let's try that. See if I can get this right. There it is. Now see, it don't sound too awfully good, but it is an inversion of that chord. See that? See, we don't have a root. Yeah, well, we do. We have this one root here, but it's not sounding out loud like the big G note here would do to get, you know, sort of stand out for you. So, but you can take each one, any chord you want, basically, and you can, if you got the whole chord, like for example, here's a D ninth chord. We got 1, 3, we got 5, 7, flat, and 9. Let's try that, for example. So if we take the fifth, it would go up to a 7, which is a flatted 7. The ninth could go up to, since this is D, the ninth would go up to a 12 or a 5. So we'd have these two notes, and the seventh could go up to a root, and the third could go up to a fifth. So we got this. Hear that? We got that same chord. Now let's see if we can do that again. We got these two notes here. Those two notes, which is a fifth and a 7, dominant or flatted 7, and the actual seventh note go one up to a ninth. Okay, and then the fifth note could go up to this. Hear that? That's how this works. You go up to the next note. It's a part of the chord. And you can do that with all these chords. You actually, since you had this note here, you can bring it up to the third right there and have this chord right here. Just a little hard to make. There it is. Same chord here. I know that's a little complicated sounding, and I know it can be a little complicated and get more overly complicated for what we're doing. We're basically just trying to teach you some basic concepts on what chords are and how they work. Now, to end this little session, we're going to actually give you some basic concepts of chord progressions. What chords goes with each other. This sort of may seem a little scattered to you, but we're trying to teach you a little bit of each one of these things. And some of the most common chord progressions, for example, are the 1, 4, and 5 chords. Now, since we're dealing with C, there's no sharps or flats. You're going to have to learn your own key signatures and how to formulate those and all that with some study material, which we could teach you that, but it takes a little time to do it, and that's not my purpose. I'm trying to teach you some concepts. But a basic chord progression that's used in thousands and thousands and thousands of songs is the 1, 4, 5 chord progression. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, we know C, if we're in the key of C, C's 1. Remember, we made the C major chord with a 1, 3, 5 to make the chord. Now, this is not the chord, this is a progression. What chords can go together? 1, 4, 5 chords go together. So C's 1, D, E, F is 2. That's the fourth note. C's 1, D, E, F, and then G. So we have C, F, and G. Now you can take all types of songs and play. There's C, F, and G. For example, that's C, F, back to C, hear that? So we just went 1, 4, 5. It was that simple. 1, 4, 5. And you can do that, you know, with thousands of songs, like that's 1 and went to 5. 4, F, back to 1, C, then to 5, G, back to 1, 5, back to 1, 5, back to 1. And you can hear songs like that, I mean, thousands of songs, just with 1, 4, 5 chord progressions. You just remember that when you speak of 1, 4, and 5, you've got to actually be speaking of the notes and the numbers in the scale or the key you're playing in. If we went to G, we would have basically the same thing because of the way the notes are laid out. But if we went to a key like A, or just say F sharp, we would have to come up with some different type things, but it's still 1, 4, 5 of that scale. That's the important thing to remember. Like I said, we're staying with C because there are no sharps and flats, so we can just say, 1, 4, 5. Another thing we add to the chord progression is 1, 2, 4, 5. Now, this is another little thing right here. Now watch this. The number 1 would be C. The 4 would be F. The 5 would be G. And the 2 would be C, D. So we go to D. Alright? Now see if we can think of a song here. There's 1. 1. Hear that? There's a 2. 5. 4. 1. Now listen. 1. A C, F, 4. 1, C, D, which is 2, 5, which is G. I'm adding notes to it. See? Now we actually had a chord progression called 1, 2, 4, 5. There's another one called a 1, 6, 4, 5, 2, or 1, 6, 2, 4, 5. And here's a song that goes with that. There's your a 6. So what is a 6? C, D, E, F, G, A. So we got C, A, D, F, and G. That's 1, 2, 6, 4, 5. But anyway, let's try it. We'll go to A. Then we go to 2. That's a D. Then a 5. Back to 1. There we go again with it. 6. Then we go to 2. Then a 5. G. Now you see we had a 4 chord progression, and then we got a 5 chord progression. 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, and so forth, and a 4. There's another one called a 1, 6 minor, 4, 5. And this is a very common one used in some of those old classic songs that we heard when we were kids. And it's the 1 is, of course, C if we're in the key of C. The 6 minor would be C, D, E, F, G, A minor. Then 4, F, then 5. 1, 6 minor, 4, 5 chord progression. And there are other chord progressions, 1, 3 minor, 4, and 5. Now let's try one of those. So what is the 1? It's C, if we're in the key of C. What is the 3? C, D, E. We just count 3 up. But we're going to make it a minor. So we're going to have 1, 3 minor, 4, 5. Now let's try that. So we got C, E minor, F, which is 4, and then G, which is 5. Now listen here, I'm going to add some embellishment to it. So we had 1, 3 minor, 4, 5 chord progression. All these are very common chord progression. Here's one here that it starts like it. It goes. And we won't even get into that one. That's another thing altogether. But here's that chord progression again. C or 1. 3 minor, which is E minor, then F, and G. I hope you're getting something out of this. This is a pleasure to be able to share with you this wealth of information in such a short time. You just got to practice a lot and think and study and take these concepts and work on them. And each time you find a new chord by the little methods that I gave you of string transference and going to the next note in the chord, up or down the scale, once you learn a new chord, you need to write your little chord diagram down and put the little chord down like you learned it. And then you can make your own chord book this way. You don't even have to have a chord book. You can just make your chords up as you go. I know this sounds maybe overly simplified, and it is, but all right, let me give you a couple more little pointers here. How chord families work. Now I've got a list here of the chords families, and we did the major chord, which consists of the 1, 3, 5. But there are other chords on the guitar, and they can be substituted for the major chord. Let's take, for example, the major chord is 1, 3, 5. There's a C major. If we want to make it a sixth, all we have to do is add one note to that major chord, which is the sixth tone of the major scale. So we already figured out a while ago that the 1, 6, 2, 4, 5 chord progression was actually, the sixth was an A in the key of C. So C, D, E, F, G, that's 5, A, number 6. All we got to do is take the C chord and add an A note to it. We can either lift our finger and use the A note here to have a C sixth, or we can leave the root here, which is a C, and we can take the G note, which is here, the open G string, the third string from the bottom, raise it 2 frets, and we got an A. So we just add that to the C chord. We got a C sixth. Okay? We can do this all over the guitar. And the next chord we're going to learn the formula to is called a major 7. A major 7 chord is just a major chord with a 7 added to it. What is a 7 in the key of C? C's 1, D, E, F, G, A, B. So we add a B. Since we've studied the strings, we know what string names are. The second string from the bottom is a B. So all we have to do, take a C chord, lift that first finger up, like that, and we got a B note added to the C chord. Hear that? Remember that song? got a C major 7 then. These are actually the major type chords. A C major or a major ninth chord, we have to add not only the 7th but the 9th. What is a 9th? We take, what do we get when we take 9 and subtract 7 from it? Because remember, there's a 7 interval between each one of the notes. So we take and subtract it from 9, we have 2. What is 2? In our key that we're dealing with, C, C, D. So we take the B note, the C chord, we add the B note, and we add a D note to it. Okay, where we're going to get a D note? We can get a D note by opening this E to a D by raising our finger, and we can do this. Hear that? Or we can range it around differently, and we can actually take the C chord and like this, we can add the B note on the 3rd string, the 4th fret, and add the 9th note down here on the 2nd string, which is C, D, raise it up 2 frets, and there's a C major 9. Hear that? And we can have the add 9. An add 9, the only difference between a major 9 and an add 9 chord is you just take the regular major chord and you add a 2 to that. In the key of C, it would be D. So all we got to do is put our little finger down here. Remember the old song? One of the old Carpenter songs. One of those old songs they had years ago when I was a kid. And they used major 9th. Okay, and then we have a thing called a 9/6 chord or a 6/9 chord. Different books have it different ways. And can you guess how you make that? You take the major chord, you add a 6 to it, in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A. There's the 6. So we add an A to it, and we add a 9 to it. What's a 9? Take 7 from 9, we have 2, C, D. So we take and add the D to it, makes the 9. We add the A to it, makes a 6. There's your C9/6. Hear it? Isn't that pretty? There's another one. They use this a lot in the fingerstyle harmonic type stuff in Chet Atkins, Jerry Reed, Lenny Breau, and a lot of those fingerstyle pickers and other type pickers use those type chords. They end songs, you know, like it's like this. That's the way Chet ends a song or two, or dozens of songs. Then we have the major 7/6 chord. And what that is, we take, I know you can guess, we take a major chord. That's because we're dealing with major chords now. We take a major and we add the 7 and the 6 to it. We know what the 7 is, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. There's number 7, B. So we add a B note to it. Then we add a 6th note. What is the 6th note? C, D, E, F, G, A. We have the D and the A. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong chord. It's a 7/6. We don't add that. We just add the 7, not the 9th. I'm sorry. There it is, the B. A lot of songs end like that. That is actually a 1, 3, 6, 7. So it's a 6/7 chord. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? All these different things. And then there's the major 13. And to make the major 13, we've got a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and a 13. What's a 13 note? I know you can guess. Take 7 from 13. What you got? 6. There we go. C, D, E, F, G, A. So the A note in the C scale is the 13th note. So what we got? We got a C. We got an E. We got a G. We got a B. We got a D, which is 9, and we're going to have to get us an A, which is almost impossible to do, but this is going to do it. If I can do it with my thumb, we can do it like this. And add that A note there, or we can do it here, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult, but it's what it is. It's a major 13 chord. There's a 9, there's a major 9, and we got to add an A note to it. So I'm going to try to do it. I could almost do it. I just can't put the root on it because I don't have enough fingers. But that would be it. I'll make the root down here. Or I can make it here. That would be the major 13th chord. And they make those different ways, of course. You know, there's a major 7, there's a major 9, there's a major 13th chord there. Because it does have the root, 5th, major 7, major 3rd, the 13, and the 9. Alright, so that's all the major chord family there. And then we're going to show you how to make the minor chord family, at least some of them. We took the basic C chord, which is we have here. And if you can remember the last couple of lessons, we told you that a minor chord, the only thing you had to do to make a major chord into a minor chord was actually take the major 3rd, which is the E in the key of C, and drop it 1 fret. We got a minor sound. Okay, and it's the same thing if we had an E. We drop the 3rd. Becomes a minor. So let's try a few of those. Let's try a C. And remember, if we have more than 1 3, we cannot take and leave the others we have major sounding and only drop 1. We'd have to drop all 3 or just use one of the 3rds. So it's easier to just use one of the 3rds in this particular chord, which is our basic C chord. And here it is. There's a 1. There's a 3, which is E, C to E. And then the 5 is a G. And we got another root, which is a C, and another E or a 3, and the top one's a 3. So we're just going to use the ones in between the strings here. Leave the top and bottom off. We drop this 3rd down to 1 fret to a minor 3rd, and we make the chord like this, as a C minor. If we wanted to take that chord and make it a minor 6th chord, what will we have to do? We got to add a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or C, D, E, F, G, A. We got to add an A to it, which is not all that complicated. We just add this A note right here, G, A, and we have this. Hear that? Now, if we want to make a minor 7, we take the 6 and raise it up to this dominant. Remember, when you got all the minor 7, minor 9, all of that, the 7th is dominant, or it's a root lowered 2 frets. Remember that a root lowered down in pitch 2 frets makes a dominant 7. So we take that C chord, we make it minor, and we raise this 5th up to a 7. So we have this right here. That makes it C minor 7. And of course we could actually do our little function we did earlier by doing that and then raising it up 5 frets and doing that and add. Hear that? Same chord. That's our little string transference method to make another inversion of that or another type of that. Then we have the minor 9th. We just add the 9th on top of the minor 7 and we got this. There's the minor 7. We add a 9, which is what? We take 7 from 9, we have 2. C is 1, D is 2. We add the D note, which is here. One of the D notes, so we got this chord here. Hear that? Isn't that nice? Then we have a minor 11. We have to add a 4. Remember, 7 from 11 is 4. Then we'd have to add an F note in it, and all we'd have to do there is put your bar across here and get this note on the bottom string, which is E, raise a fret to an F. See Now we got actually a minor 11 chord. Then we got the minor 7/11, which consists of a 1, 3 flat, 5, and 7 flat and 11. 1, 3 flat, 5, 7, and 11. And we don't have the 9th note in there, so we just got these notes. See, we don't have that 9th note in there. So it's all just actually maneuvering a note here or a note there to make all these chords. 7/11, minor add 9, minor 6/9, minor major 7. All these chords have names. You got chord books with chords galore in there. And we have all those different formulas. And we're going to do one more called the dominant family. Now remember, dominant means that you take one of the roots in the key of C, the root would be C, you drop it 2 frets, period. Now you got a dominant 7. If you wanted to make a dominant 9, you would still have to have the dominant by dropping the root 2 frets, but you could take the root, which is an 8, remember, raise it 2 frets, which is also a 2, and you would have a 9. We'll use this for an example here. Here's a C. This is a C note here on the 5th fret on the 3rd string or the G string. We want to make it dominant, so we drop it 2 frets to here. We got the dominant sound, and we take this root, we raise it 2 frets, and we got a C dominant 9th. And this is basically the way all these chords work. A dominant 7 is you just take a root and drop it 2 frets, or you can take this root, drop it 2 frets, and still have a dominant 7 here. Hear it? So this is a common chord. This is an F dominant 7. It's the same thing as this chord here, but you got the root, drop 2 frets, and the rest of it's just the C chord. If I could keep putting my right fingers in the right spot. There's a C dominant 7. Just take a root, but take this C for example. There's a root. We drop it 2 frets. Leave these other notes here. We got a dominant 7. Or we could have taken this root, drop it 2 frets, and we got a dominant 7. If we want to make a 9, we take that root and raise it 2 frets. Okay, I had that already done for a 7. So there we go. If we want to make it a 9th by raising that 2 frets and do these, we still have to have this 7 down here. Same thing as it. It's a little hard to make. There we go. Hear it? Well, we have it, we're raising a root up 2 frets and lowering another root down 2 frets. It gives us a dominant 9th sound. Then we have the dominant 7/6. What we have to do there is we take a dominant 7 and add a 6 to it. Now let's just use this chord here, because I mean we're trying to make it simple, because all these chords up here you've never seen before. There's the C. This is a C note. We can't lower this C note 2 frets. We can only lower it 1 fret. So let's use this C note. Now we've got the 7, but we're trying to find a 7/6 chord. Let's see, that's what we're looking for, a 7/6. So what we got to add? A 6th, which is C, D, E, F, G, A. We add this A right here. This is a G note on the 2nd fret, G, A. And we got a 7/6. Lenny Brewer uses that stuff a lot. See that? You got stuff like it. See that? And so there's a 7/6 chord. The next chord is a 7/11. So if we add take the dominant 7th sound and we add an 11 to it, which is a 4th, we got this. And all of 7 and 11 is you're adding a 4th. Remember, if you add 7 to 4, you got 11. So that makes it an 11th tone. And it's also, you can take in just a regular old major chord and you can add a 4 to it, which is an 11, and have a sus. You heard that. You heard this in D. You heard those sounds all your life, but you have never had any idea unless you've studied it. And some of you folks, I know you probably can run circles around me as far as teaching and all that stuff, but I'm trying to give you a real condensed format on this chord structures. And then we have the 7 sus, which is this right here. We take a dominant 7, add the 4th. And so we can use that dominant 7 and we can add this 4th here. Or we can do it on the bottom string. Or we can take this C7. C chord, add a 7, root lower 2 frets, C7, and then add the 4th on the bottom. Listen to the sound. Hear that sound? These are called chord families. Then we add the 9th if we want to actually make a 9th chord. We got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, which is C, E, G, B flat, which is a C lower 2 frets, and D, which is a 9th. That makes a 9th chord. And we have a 7/6 chord, which is we just showed you a while ago, and we got a 7/6 sus. That it don't sound too awfully good to me, but that's what these chord formulas are. They're a family of chords. We have a 13th chord. Remember, first we got to do the 11th chord. We take a 9th chord, and remember, when we're using notes that has more notes in it than there are strings on the guitar, we're going to have to drop something or leave out something. Some of the best things to leave out is the 5th, maybe in the root. So we take a 9th here, and we want to try to change that to an 11th. We just add the 4th here. We raise the 3rd up to a 4th, and there it is. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's the actual 11th chord. We're going to play a little bit of a song and show you how that chord, when another note's added, which makes it the next chord, which is a 13, major 13. We add the A note, which is a 6, plus 7 is 13, if you've been following along. Now watch this. We do this song. Hear that chord? That's actually a 13 sus. All it is actually a 9 with 11th in it. There's 11. Okay, so you see the sound of that chord. The 13th chord, the dominant 13th, you just take a 9th chord, 1, 3, and a dominant 7, a 9, and add a 6 to it. That gives you 13 chord. All right. And anytime you change it around, when you see the word sus, that just means you add a 4th to it. You take one of the 3rds, or that's in the chord, or the one you're going to be using, raise it to a 4, and that makes it an 11. When it's also known as sus or suspended, that means it's suspended, and it's going to resolve back to like the actual 3rd. Hear that? Just common sounds you hear all your life. We have the 13 sus. We just did is 1, 4. Remember the 4 and it's 11. 5, 7 flat, 9, and 13. If you'll notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a whole 6 strings involved in that chord. And then the 13, the 11, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can't get 7 notes out of 6 strings. But those chords are available, and all they are is just, remember this, you've got 1, 3, 5, 7, and you got 2, 4, 6. The 2, 4, 6 becomes a 9, 11, and a 13, because you add 7 to those. So all you have is basically still the 7 notes. You got C, D, E, F, G, A, B in that C scale, and that's all you have. And when you go back up, you're going to have the next C, then the next D. And so the 2, 4, 6, if you have a C chord and you want to make a C6 chord, you add a 6th note to it. If you want to make a 7/6, you add a 7 and a 6. If you want to make a 13, you add a 9 to it. Okay, that don't sound too good to me, but it's the same thing. Now here's another way to do it. What we got here is a 3, a dominant 7, a 9, which is a D, a 13, and another root. Same thing. Now, we have the 11, 13. First, we have the 7, 6, 11, which is 1, 3, 5, 7 flat, 11, and 13. So all we got to do is add the 11 and the 13, which is the A. We can do that. And so we got the 7, 6, 11. We have 1, 11, dominant 7, and 13, and we can add a 5 here. Now we got that chord, and then we got the 11, 13, which is 1, 3, 5, 7 flat, 9, 11, 13, and we got to have the 9, we got to have the 11, we have the 13, and we got the 7. So that's basically almost the same chord as the one that we just did, the 7, 6, 11. But we didn't. The 6th note, remember, is the 13th also. The 11th is the 4th. So we have 2, 4, 6, right? 9, 11, 13. Same notes, which would be D, A, and then that's the 13. And the D would be the 9. The 11 would be the F in the key of C. C, D, E, F, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got to remember those little basic things there. And we have a couple of more little things that I want you to notice here. There's one called a diminished chord, and it's represented by a circle, a little degree symbol up beside the chord. And what makes that chord is a 1. We'll start here. 1, 3 flat, 5 flat, and 7 double flat, which would make it a 6th. Hear that? And the magic about these chords, we're going to do a whole study on the diminished chord later, but these chords repeat themselves every 3 frets. And these chords have a certain characteristic that every note in the particular chord is the name of another diminished chord. So if you have a 4-note diminished chord, which is what we have here, this is a C diminished. We have a C, which is on the bottom. That's a C note. We have an F sharp diminished. We have a D sharp diminished, or E flat, same note, and an A diminished. If we raise it 1, 2, 3 frets from here, 1, 2, 3, we got the same chord. Hear how it repeats itself? And you hear Chet doing that all the time, but he uses it in a different manner, like for example, to be in the key of G. Hear that? See, some of them guitar finger style guitar players utilize all these chords. You know, Django Reinhardt did it something like this. He goes, if I can do it. And he'd do all types of crazy stuff. He would do it so fast, it would be like lightning. And all he's doing is taking these chords, and then raise it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can do all types of things with those chords. They have other names which we will delve into when we study the diminished chord. It's a magic chord. I love it. There's so much information that I want to give you on the diminished chord by itself. It'll be a whole entire lesson, because it not only has the name of a diminished, it has other names. And each one of those chords with the different names, it has 4 different named chords associated with that. And for example, here in the C diminished, the C diminished is also a B7 flat 9. It's also an F7 flat 9. And each one of the notes in that chord is the flat 9th of a 7th chord or a 9th chord. The flat 9. For example, here's C, B7 flat 9. There's a 9. If I raise it up, it'll be a regular 9. There's a B9 chord. And if I drop it, it becomes a B7. And these have names, and you know, there's a lot of stuff. And there's one more chord we're going to cover today before we quit, and it's called the augmented chord. And it's usually represented by a plus symbol in a chord diagram. And what you do, you take to make augmented, all you have to do is make a major chord, which is 1, 3, 5. We'll use this 1, 3, 5 here, which is C, C, E, G, and you raise the 5 1 fret. Okay? That's a C augmented. And each one of the notes here is an augmented chord. So we have a C augmented, we have a E augmented, this is E, okay, and we have a flat or G sharp augmented. Watch this. Now here we got this chord. So it's 3 different names because there's three notes in the chord. And it repeats itself every 4 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hear that? It repeats itself every 4 frets. And it's just a 1 with a 5. 1, 3, 5 with the 5 raised a fret. It's a major chord with a 5 raised up a fret. That's called augmented, or a sharp 5. And so you can take those chords like that. For example, here's a C augmented. If we want to make an augmented 7 chord, we take the root, either one of the roots, drop it 2 frets. And here we got a C augmented 7. Now watch this. We drop this root 2 frets. We got a C7. We take the 5, which is a G, and we raise it a fret. Now we got a C7 plus 5. And if we add the 9, we got a C9 plus 5. And you hear that, you see these chords used all the time. The old Chet song goes. He goes, Bells of St. Mary, for example. I'm not playing it right, I'm just sort of giving you an idea. He goes, That's C9 plus 5. So I hope you got something out of this lesson. It's an hour and 15, 16 minutes long, and we will get into a lot of different things as we go along. I gave you basically the chord formulas, and just remember, you can take chords and add two chords together and come up with an odd sounding chord, or and there's a lot of chords which we'll cover that have the one formation and have several different names that are common. Now, any chord can be also another chord of a different key. It doesn't matter what chord it is, and there's just it's just a world of information. But you can take a C and it can be a C sharp something, a D something, a E something, F something. For example, you can take a C chord and a G chord and add those two chords together and get a C major 9 chord. Like, for example, because we add the C and the G together, and this so happens that that's the way the notes run together, to make the chord. And you can make all types of chords, adding like for example, here's the E9 chord. We added a B flat major chord to it, we would actually come up with this. That's a C, an E major 9. We added a B chord to it, not a B flat. If we added the B flat, we'd have this, which would be an E7, flat 9, flat 5. I know you know nothing about all that. They're called altered chords, and they got either flat or sharp 5s, flat or sharp 9 notes on the particular chord. For example, we take an E chord, we can raise the 5th, we can drop the 5th. Like, for example, we can raise the 9th or drop the 9. And that would make it a 7 flat 9 chord, which we will get into maybe later. And I hope you got something out of this lesson today. It's been a long one, and I gave you a lot of information to try to study, and I hope that we get a chance to see you grow out there. And remember, there's no charge for anything I'm doing. I'm just doing this just to help you. Thank you an awful lot. This is Harlan Parrott, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.